Good afternoon and welcome to our midday global security briefing. I'm your host. Today, we're tracking fast-moving developments across the Middle East, Europe, and beyond. Events that could reshape the global balance of power. Let's get straight to it. U.S. preparing major airstrike campaign against Iran, Gulf allies on edge. According to multiple reports this morning, the U.S. government has urged American citizens to immediately depart 15 countries across the Middle East amid fears of imminent military escalation with Iran within the next 24 hours. The State Department says it is prepared to assist Americans struggling to arrange commercial flights and has activated emergency hotlines. Travelers have been advised to enroll in the Dept program, the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, to receive real-time security alerts from U.S. embassies and consulates. A senior U.S. official told CNN that Washington is preparing a significant expansion of air operations against Iran, after what sources describe as an initial wave designed to degrade Tehran's air defense systems. The next phase would reportedly focus on missile production facilities, drone infrastructure, and naval assets, particularly those capable of threatening shipping lanes in the Persian Gulf. President Donald Trump stated in a recent interview, "We haven't even hit them hard yet." The big strike is coming. Iran, however, has already begun retaliatory actions. Reports indicate at least 6 U.S. service members have been killed. A fuel tanker linked to a U.S. ally was struck in the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point through which roughly 20% of the world's oil supply transits daily. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has declared the strait effectively closed and warned that any vessel attempting passage may be targeted. Even a temporary disruption there could send global energy prices sharply higher. Brent crude historically reacts within hours to threats in Hormuz, and analysts are already warning that American drivers could soon see gasoline spike above recent averages if escalation continues. In Saudi Arabia, a major refinery in Ras Tanura, one of the largest oil export terminals in the world, reportedly suspended operations after a drone strike. Meanwhile, Qatar claims it shot down 2 Iranian aircraft. It intercepted 7 missiles and neutralized 5 drones during a coordinated attack. Doha also temporarily halted portions of its natural gas production, a critical concern given that Qatar is one of the world's top LNG exporters. President Trump said the U.S. response to attacks on American personnel and diplomatic facilities would be decisive, but emphasized that he does not anticipate deploying ground troops. Vice President Vance reinforced that message, stating this would not become another Iraq or Afghanistan. The stated objective remains preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons, but not everyone in Washington is convinced. Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said after a classified briefing that he has heard at least 4 different objectives from administration officials, ranging from disabling Iran's nuclear infrastructure to regime change. He also questioned whether Iran currently poses a direct, imminent threat to the United States, arguing that conflating threats to Israel with direct threats to the U.S. represents uncharted strategic territory. The broader concern, whether this confrontation evolves into a regional war drawing in Gulf states, Israel, and potentially NATO partners with global economic consequences. Medvedev warns of World War III. Nuclear posture hardens in Europe. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, in comments to Russian state media, warned that U.S.-led regime change operations could trigger a global conflict. He argued that continued escalation could become a catalyst for World War III, particularly if Iran's leadership were targeted directly. Medvedev claimed such actions would radicalize Iranian society and potentially accelerate Tehran's nuclear ambitions. Western intelligence assessments have long debated how military pressure influences nuclear decision-making. History shows that external threats sometimes strengthen internal cohesion rather than weaken it. In a parallel development, French President Emmanuel Macron announced adjustments to France's nuclear doctrine. Speaking at a strategic submarine base, Macron stated that Paris would increase the number of operational nuclear warheads and reduce public transparency regarding arsenal size to strengthen deterrence credibility. Well, us, according to data from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, (CIPRI), France currently possesses just under 300 nuclear warheads, significantly fewer than the United States or Russia, which each maintain inventories in the thousands. Macron suggested France may expand its forward deterrence posture within NATO Europe under certain conditions. The Kremlin responded by warning that any country hosting nuclear weapons aimed at Russia would become a legitimate target. Taken together, these statements reflect growing stress on the global nuclear deterrence architecture, an architecture that has held since the Cold War but is now under renewed strain. Iranian drone incident reaches EU territory. For the first time, an Iranian-produced drone has reportedly struck territory associated with a European Union member state in the Mediterranean. A UAV believed to have been launched from a proxy group in Lebanon crashed near RAF Akrotiri, a British sovereign base area in Cyprus. The UK Ministry of Defence confirmed defensive systems were activated and additional drones were intercepted. Families of British personnel have reportedly been evacuated as a precaution. This development is significant. If confirmed as Iranian-directed, it could trigger NATO consultations under Article 4 or more, depending on attribution and escalation. Cyprus has insisted it is not participating in offensive operations. However, Britain recently permitted U.S. use of certain facilities for strikes against Iranian missile sites, a move that may have altered the threat calculus. German business figure calls for Russian nuclear ultimatum. In Europe's Eastern Theater, controversy erupted after a German-Finnish entrepreneur publicly suggested Russia issue a one-week ultimatum to Ukraine and the West, threatening nuclear escalation if terms are not met. Such rhetoric remains outside official government policy, but reflects growing fatigue among certain European constituencies as the Russia-Ukraine war enters its fourth year. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service has alleged that France and the UK are considering forms of nuclear-related assistance to Kyiv, claims not independently verified. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated Ukraine has received no such proposals but has repeatedly emphasized the need for stronger security guarantees. In a striking geopolitical maneuver, Zelensky also signaled willingness to send Ukrainian drone interception specialists to Middle Eastern partners in exchange for diplomatic leverage with Moscow, highlighting how modern warfare expertise has become a tradable strategic commodity. Unusual seismic activity near U.S. Area 52. Finally, unusual seismic activity has been recorded near a restricted U.S. testing site in Nevada, sometimes referred to as Area 52, part of the broader Nevada Test and Training Range. The U.S. Geological Survey recorded 16 tremors above magnitude 2.5 within 24 hours and more than 100 smaller quakes over the preceding week. Experts caution that the region is geologically active and such tremors are often natural. However, underground nuclear tests can produce seismic signatures similar to small earthquakes, though no official confirmation suggests testing has resumed. The timing, coinciding with heightened tensions involving Iran, has fueled speculation, but there is currently no evidence linking the tremors to military activity.